Okay, so good evening and welcome to everyone, to councillors, to the press and members of the public who have joined us for the Town Council's Community Resources Committee meeting. So this meeting, as you know, will be held under the regulations allowing local authorities to meet formally using remote technology. So please bear with us while I set out how this meeting will be conducted. The Town Council is using the Microsoft Office live events platform to hold this meeting. Our standing orders have been updated to allow this to happen by the adoption of the remote meetings protocol and procedure rules. This meeting is being live streamed on the website and is available to view on our website. It is very important for everyone participating in this meeting to please switch off all mobile devices to silent for the duration of the meeting. It is also important that you keep your microphone on mute using the toolbar on your screen when you're not speaking to reduce disruption from background noise. At the start of the meeting, the Town Clerk will ensure that those members and officers required for the meeting are present by calling a register and asking each member to confirm they are present. Throughout the meeting, councillors should have the chat window open, as this will enable you to indicate when you wish to speak or have to leave the meeting. It's important that you can see this window, as this is the mechanism that will be used to monitor participation throughout the meeting. The Town Clerk or the Assistant Town Clerk may prompt me if there are questions or statements from members that are outstanding. When your name is called, you will need to unmute your microphone using the toolbar on your screen and wait for the word live and the red line to appear around your screen, and then please ensure that you speak clearly. Most decisions will be made by the general assent of those present. However, if a vote is required, each councillor's name will be read out in alphabetical order and you will be asked to state whether you are for, against or abstaining. If at any time the Town Council's technology fails and we need to adjourn the meeting for a short period, I will confirm this and ask all those present to turn their cameras off and mute their microphones whilst the problem is rectified. I will then confirm when the meeting resumes. We can only monitor our technology and cannot halt the meeting if a member of the press or public experiences technology issues. So I will now ask the Town Clerk to carry out a roll call of all officers and councillors and ask that you confirm you are present. The Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Blanchard Cooper. So carrying on alphabetically, Councillor Chase.
Present.
Councillor Malloy.
Present.
Councillor Seeks.
Present.
Councillor Tandy.
Present.
Councillor Turner.
Present.
And Councillor Dr. Walsh.
Present.
Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And then we begin with the agenda. So item 1 is mobile phones, which was covered in the briefing. So if members have their mobile phones, please turn them to silent for the duration of the meeting. Number 2 is apologies. The Town Clerk has already informed us of Councillor Blanchard Cooper's apologies. And then item 3 is declarations of interest. So the agenda notes the standing declarations. And members and officers are now reminded to make any other declarations if they become apparent, either now or at the start of the relevant item. Councillor Chase, I believe.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to declare an interest as Chairman of Littlehampton United Football Club, and also my mayoral charities, which are Creative Heart, 1087 Squadron Air Cadets, Littlehampton Sea Cadets, and 4th Littlehampton Scouts.
Thank you. And then I also need to declare an interest on agenda item 7.6, which is the oral update on the Keystone project, as the current Secretary and Treasurer of the Keystone Centre charity. If there are no further declarations, if any become obvious, please declare them as and when appropriate. Item number 4 is the minutes. So if you would turn to page 3 to 7 in your agenda pack, you will find the minutes from the meeting on the 12th of March 2020. If everyone is happy with these minutes, they will be approved and arrangement will be made for them to be signed at a later date, and this will be reflected in the minutes of this meeting. Is everybody happy with the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. We will take that as general assent and move on to item 5, which is, they're in a different order on my script, so I will go with what's on the published agenda. Item 5 is Chair's report on urgent items. I'll ask the Town Clerk to advise if there are any urgent items.
There are none, Chair.
thank you. And then we will do item 6 on the agenda, which is public forum. So in accordance with the remote meetings protocol, which has been introduced by the Town Council, any members of the public wishing to address the Council or any of its committees during remote meetings should have emailed their submission to us a clear day before the meetings. And I will ask the Town Clerk to confirm if there are any representations or questions.
There are none, Chair.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And then we move on to the substantive items, which is item 7, officer reports. So if you could please turn to page 8 in your agenda papers, and I will alternate between the Town Clerk and the Assistant Town Clerk to take us through each report. And we begin with item 7.1, which is the Museum Periodic Report on pages 8 to 15, and I will hand over to the Assistant Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. Members will have read the report, which aims to give you an idea of how the team have been working during the nationwide lockdown, especially since this has meant that the museum has had to close its doors to the public. The team, just to update you, have really risen well to the challenge that this has brought to us, and it's reflected mainly in the increased online presence and engagements that's been recorded in the report. The recent online exhibition displays and virtual talks have proved very popular, and we're looking to build on that as there is still no time frame for reopening the sector. Remote working has been even more challenging when it comes to the collections documentation project, as this would normally require that the team are actually present and working with the collections in the building. Since that wasn't possible until recently, during the lockdown, workers focused on permanently recording the content of the accession registers. So far, a third of these have been digitised, which is invaluable because now that the team have moved back into the office and resumed cataloguing, they can pick up on that work quickly. We're fortunate that the offices there could be easily brought back into use safely. Now that the measures have been eased. Over the summer, the team will be looking at reviewing the project action plan, and they'll also be looking into how we might be able to use our volunteer force in a remote working way. And a report on how that's going will be brought back to the committee in autumn. We do also have a small collection of items which is pictured on page 13 of members' papers for consideration. There is an update there from the curators. Unfortunately, we already have a number of these items in the collection, and it's therefore recommended that the offer is declined. But happy to take any questions that members may have, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chase, is that a request to speak that I've got?
Yeah, I just wanted to want it noted to thank the whole museum team for all their hard work and efforts during the period of lockdown, and I think they've done really fantastically. And sometimes small parts of teams do get forgotten, but the work they've achieved is absolutely fantastic, and thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We'll feed that back to the team.
Thank you. I think that's echoed by the whole committee. Any other councillors wish to speak on the museum report?
Hi, sorry. With this online statistics of what they're reaching and stuff, is there any chance of having a look on a year for year to see if it's improving? Because obviously it would have massively gone up this year, and we can look at how they're doing things differently and carry it on.
Yeah, we can certainly bring that back for the next meeting, Chair.
Perfect. Okay, so if I have no other requests to speak, the recommendations are as listed on page 8. If the committee is content, we will take all three together. So it's to note the museum report and the update on the collection documentation project, to endorse the decline of the items listed on page 13, and to otherwise note the report. Is that accepted by the general assent of the committee?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And then we will move on to item 7.2, which is the events periodic report on pages 16 to 27, and the town clerk will summarise and introduce.
Thank you, Chair. A bit of a running theme running through many of these reports. As members will know, the events programme through till hopefully just short of Christmas in its full form has ceased to be. We keep our fingers crossed for Christmas lights switch on and we'll see where we are, but I'm not holding out great promises because that is a major gathering of people that we will probably be advised to steer clear of. But at the moment, it's still in the calendar. What the events team have been up to is a number of things. One is to create, firstly, the first is to deal with some of the repercussions of not holding the events. And that's been working with our contractors who've signed up to contracts with us and so on. Some have very helpfully agreed to, whilst we will owe them at least the deposit, but to carry that over to next year. And they've worked well with us, and the team have done well in the negotiations with them. The second area that they've been working on is some small stuff. It is small fry stuff, but some small stuff just to keep the thing ticking over, which you'll see in paragraph 3.2 of the report. The other area isn't really covered in this report, but they're also focusing on town centre events, which is another programme which the councils have signed up to, which is going to go through policy and finance. Obviously, that theme again has somewhat limited what can be held in the town centre at the moment, but there is a report going to policy and finance on Monday. So I'm happy to answer any questions across the report. Most of it's for noting, but there are a couple of recommendations for approval there.
Thank you. I have Councillor Seeks wishes to speak.
Hi, it's just a suggestion. I know Michelle and I have spoken about this, but I know we can't do it for this year, but if we could organise a drive-in cinema, the Chichester Festival Theatre are doing it in conjunction with New Park Cinema, and they're doing that this summer. But I didn't know if we could contact them and ask them if they've got all the kit to be able to do it, whether they would be willing to assist us. And you think it'd be quite a good offering to have a drive-in by the sea, would be a unique experience, and it's the only thing that's left available to us at the moment that's been approved. So just to get everybody's thoughts on that option.
Before, through you, Chair, we did look at it once before, and there are constraints on it, but I'm not being negative about it. I'm more than happy to go away and ask the team to look at it, because it might well link into, if it's not the town council's events as such, it could also link into the town centre events. So I'm more than happy to look at that with the dual hat, because the problem with drive-in cinemas is you need somewhere that's got a constrained area, that's got controlled access and has got good surfaces and so on. So maybe one of the town centre car parks could be an opportunity there as well. So we could look at it under both guises and come back to committee.
Because there are some commercial operators as well, and I contacted a few, but I never heard back. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a town council event, but if we could try and entice somebody to do it, it would be nice to have something to look forward to locally.
Yep. Thank you. I have Councillor Dr. Walsh next.
Thank you. Sorry, I just find having to do it with the touchpad irritating, because all the other systems I just have to touch the screen. I'd like to support Emily in this. I think this is a brilliant suggestion. Clearly, at this stage, it is only a suggestion, but I think it is well worth exploring for two reasons. One, we have several spaces, as the town clerk has just indicated. We have the vast expanse of the green, and an adjacent car park where majority of the viewers, obviously a drive-in, would have to be in their cars. And we equally have the large expanse of St Martin's car park and the smaller expanse of Manor House car park. And I think if we can, first of all, have a dual approach to talk to Chichester and the Park Cinema, and see whether there is any possibility of a collaboration arrangement there. And equally, to see if there are any commercial operators who might be inclined to put one, given the open spaces we've just talked about here. And I think we ought to explore that, see if we can. There's quite a long lead time. There's hopefully a lot of summer left, and it may well be that, you know, July or August or even September would, any time in those months would be good times to do it. So I'd be in favour of exploring it. Obviously, without commitment at this stage, we can't commit until we see what the costs and pluses and minuses might be.
Yeah, we'll through you, Chair. We'll do that.
Thank you. And then Councillor Malloy.
Hi. I don't know if it's possible, but instead of losing the Christmas lights, would it be possible to do a big Christmas film screening at Christmas time, and David could still do his speech and everyone's in one of the town car parks and then can drive off and drive through the town and look at the lights? It would just save us losing another big town event, and we could screen a Christmas classic, which I think, if it would work at that time of year with the sound and the rain and stuff, it might be worth looking into.
Happy to look at that option as well, Chair.
Perfect.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Councillor Turner.
I would just like to say that I agree with all those points. I think it's an excellent idea, and I think we should pursue it, definitely.
Okay, so I think we have some unanimity on that. And then if there is no one else indicating they wish to speak, there is 8 recommendations, which again, if no one has dissent, we will take together. So the recommendations are as outlined on page 16. I won't read them all out for the sake of time.
Agreed.
Is that general assent agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And then we will move on to item 7.3, which are the grant aid applications for 2020. This begins on page 28 of the agenda pack, and I'm going to hand over to the Assistant Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to give members a brief overview of how this year's scheme has run. The report that you have before you is in 2 parts. Firstly, Appendix A, which contains the feedback, where we have it from those groups that received grants from us last year. And Appendix B sets out this year's scheme, which was launched as usual in April. With this year's scheme, take-up was initially slow, and it wasn't until after Easter, when Michael, our new Community Resources Officer, joined us, that we were able to get a handle on how local groups were coping with the crisis, and indeed whether they will be able to participate in this year's scheme. Michael's induction rapidly was focused on establishing a relationship with as many of our local groups as possible and supporting them with their applications. And he'll pick some of those up when he goes through the applications this year in his presentation. Before I hand over to him, and through you, Chair, I would ask that any questions members have are dealt with after the presentation, and then the final recommendations on the awards can be agreed. If I may, I'll hand over to Michael and get him to start the presentation for you this evening.
Thank you.
We're good to go, Mike.
Okay. Grant Aid 2020-21. I'm going to talk through a variety of slides. First 2 slides are around the grant statistics from previous grant awards. The next 2 give you a summary and an insight into the grants this year, and then I'll talk through each grant individually and look to take questions at the end of this presentation. Some statistics. Grant 8 2018-2019 saw 42 applicants with a total allocation of £17,774. Grants of note in this application period: Life Centre towards the cost of counselling support, and the Littlehampton Sea Scouts towards the new marquee. Grant Aid 2019-2020 saw 43 applications with a total grant allocation of 19,580. And the grant of note in this particular year was Creative Heart to assist with the Changing Places improvements. This year's grants came with huge challenges in light of COVID-19, and I want to summarise how some have been overcome and how others have impacted. We have had very limited uptake at the opening of Grant Aid this year. It quickly became apparent that we needed to review how we reach the community groups. The only way was direct action, and each group that had previously applied and accepted contact was contacted by phone and email. This was followed by further emails to ensure I had the contact with team members who are currently active during this period. The grants do require certain information in relation to accounts, risk assessment and insurance. A few groups have not got this in place as a group is not currently running or accountants are not quick to respond. To resolve this, I've collated a chart of provided information and suggest if allocation is successful, this will be with the caveat all information is offered prior to check allocation. Based on information provided in the applications, it is anticipated these grants could assist in direct impact for over 4,000 Littlehampton residents. Grants in the main offer help and support to some of the most vulnerable in the community. They also assist vital community groups that enable people to return to a new normality once restrictions allow. Grants will assist local groups in the community and enable them to continue functioning and adapting during this pandemic. Some groups will directly impact on improving tourism when restrictions lift and promote activity within Littlehampton. When full allocation has not been given, we will ensure Littlehampton Town Council offer support and advice where possible to ensure these groups continue their vital delivery of service. We have managed to engage 2 new groups this year, Men Walk and Talk and West Sussex Mine. We'll now talk through the grants. Grant number 1 is 1087 Air Cadets. They requested a grant of £220 and we propose a grant of £220. Grant is to be used for hosting the main AGM in the Millennium Chamber and the cost of hire for this event. This is the main award ceremony awarding cadets for their achievement. Full amount recommended to ensure this one event can happen. 16 members of this group are residents within Littlehampton. Foresight Vision Support. Grant requested £3,969. Proposed grant £1,000. Grant is to be used for kindness packs. These packs are to deliver an unexpected gift through the post. These packs are designed to alleviate loneliness and improve mental well-being. Allocation based on limited membership base in Littlehampton. However, these packs will directly benefit 81 Littlehampton residents. Kindness packs tackle isolation and are important to this group in light of COVID-19. Arran Veterans and Armed Forces Breakfast Club. Grant requested £493.82. Grant proposed £220. The grant is to buy equipment for events. This consists of a gazebo, tables and chairs. Grant allocation is to cover costs of a gazebo, as this is the only element Littlehampton Town Council cannot assist with. Group based in Littlehampton, however, detail on membership is limited and further justifies no full allocation. 20 to 30 members are based within Littlehampton. Cancer United. Grant requested is £1,558. Proposed grant is £1,403. Grant is to be used to assist in delivering fitness classes remotely to patients. Grant will assist in buying resistance tubes and weight bench for the instructor. Tubes will be issued to people supported by the charity. Funding based on 90% Littlehampton resident benefit. This will directly benefit 150 Littlehampton residents. This project is great adaptation in light of COVID-19. Cruise Bereavement Care. Grant requested £500. Proposed grant allocation £500. Grant to be used for bereavement support for Littlehampton residents. This will cover cost of training and sessions. This project is to continue to provide the core work of one-to-one and support bereaved adults, children and young people living in Littlehampton free of charge. This can be done either in their home or at school and includes the initial assessment of the client by phone or by a visit and sequence of sessions to the client delivered by a fully trained bereavement volunteer. Can be done remotely if COVID restrictions in place. Funding based on direct benefit to Littlehampton residents, full allocation suggested. This is targeted to Littlehampton residents and around the specific membership base. The 5 most needy are selected for the support group impacted by the lack of funding during COVID-19. Friends of Music Park. Grant requested £630. Grant allocation proposed £500. This grant is to be used for building reserves by producing a puzzle of a scene of the park and sell at profit. This project will cost initially £630 for 60 puzzles. If successful, they intend to sell the puzzles at £15 each, generating £900 income. £630 will be used for a second design and £270 will go back into park projects. From the initial grant, they can use the funds to continue to reinvest this in a similar project way and make more money for the future, becoming self-sustaining. This idea is looking to make the project self-sustaining. Full allocation not being given will affect price point on the puzzle. Reduced allocation is based on some risk with this project not selling the puzzles. Also, margins are small, which does add risk to the goal of £270 allocation to parks projects. Homestar Arran. Grant requested £2,500. Proposed grant £625. This grant is to be used to recruit 10 new volunteers to support families during COVID-19 isolation. In light of social distancing, they have moved to telephone, video and web chat support. These are available during the day via the team of volunteers and on Tuesday and Thursday evenings when staff are available. Allocation based on proportion of Littlehampton residents to benefit, 25%. This will help 50 Littlehampton residents, this going towards training of volunteers. Howard Lawn Tennis. Grant requested £300, proposed grant £150. This grant is to be used to improve membership base. They are struggling on attracting new membership. They have a dynamic new young committee that has created a new website. They want to encourage all ages and background to attract new members and hold a series of weekend open days free of entry when they're allowed to reopen. This is hard to quantify the benefit to Littlehampton residents, and this does have a risk of open days not having normal reach during COVID. Life Centre. Grant requested £3,402. Grant proposed £2,665. This grant is to be used to provide survivors with the life-changing opportunity of free specialist trauma counselling to help them recover. Each survivor will be provided with a full course of treatment which consists of 18 sessions of counselling, which is proven to significantly improve survivors' mental health. Below is listed some of the breakdown of costs. The counselling sessions are an external service and not direct payment to staff. They are a targeted activity for 7 Littlehampton residents and they are part of a larger project for 16. Littlehampton Baptist Church. This grant is to be used to host a pantomime. The grant requested is £500 and proposed is £347. This grant is to be used to host a pantomime. The event is arranged by the trustees of the church, a group of volunteers and Outside the Box Productions. They have been booked for Saturday afternoon, 12th of December this year, when they will be performing Peter Pan. The cost of this event is £700. This event is open to all and important for the community. Important event at Christmas and be well received in light of current impact of COVID-19. Grant allocation based on need around other grants. Littlehampton Blind Club. Grant requested £750, grant proposed £628. This grant is to be used to bring members together to tackle isolation, cost of transportation, hire and organisation. Cost reflects the 85% Littlehampton residents who benefit, 17 residents directly benefit. Littlehampton Cricket Club. Grant requested £1,500, grant proposed £700. This grant is to be used to cover the cost of gutter repairs to the pavilion. This is to prevent issues with water ingress and ensure continued use of the pavilion. The club has been impacted by the effects of COVID-19, meaning they need support in order to undertake repairs. Reduced allocation as general maintenance and based on needs in other grants. Littlehampton Croquet Club. Grant requested £721, grant proposed £250. This project is to erect small ball stop fencing along the perimeter of the croquet lawns to protect our players from stray cricket balls. Both the cricket club and the croquet club share the space in the sportsman field and often play at the same time during the summer. The cricket club are in agreement for them to use this type of safety measure. This is in connection with balls from cricket. Cost is reflective of possible joint responsibility for this. Reduced allocation as a logistical issue and based on need in other grants. Littlehampton District Lions. Grant requested £512, grant proposed £400. This grant is to assist with marketing and banners and to promote membership. The majority of the membership are over 60 and retired, and they feel that with the current pandemic, people are more aware of the local charities and volunteers and what volunteers do in the community. They would like to organise a membership drive in the next 6 to 12 months once the current lockdown has been lifted. They're directly working with Littlehampton residents, reduced amounts suggested due to possible restrictions on marketing, and again I've just highlighted that it's targeted to Littlehampton residents only. Littlehampton Food Bank. Grant requested £4,000, grant proposed £3,794. Since the COVID-19 outbreak, they have experienced an increase in local people needing their help. They have also had to adapt their service to be able to deliver food parcels to reduce risk. In April this year, they have been given enough food parcels to feed 520 people. As a result, they need a flexible grant that they can use on the following items: cardboard boxes for food parcel deliveries, van hire for buying stock, moving stock from storage and delivery parcels, and further food supplies. Really important service and directly benefits residents and focuses on the most needy. Has had unprecedented demand during COVID-19 and will continue to help the most vulnerable in our community. Slight reduction in allocation as Reach does cover outside of Littlehampton. Littlehampton Fort Restoration Project. The Littlehampton grant requested £1,651, grant proposed £650. The Littlehampton Fort Restoration Project have been given the opportunity to operate the top viewing galleries of the former Look and See Heritage Centre site in Surrey Street, Littlehampton. Over the 2 floors, they are looking to offer visitors amazing views of the River Arun and of the town of Littlehampton, and the chance to find out information relating to the Littlehampton Fort, the River Arun, and historical sites in and around Littlehampton. This will be achieved through interpretation boards around the viewing galleries and also touchscreen interactive screens. This facility will be known as the Fort and River Exhibition. Important project in terms of heritage, hard to quantify impact, can support through LTC communication streams. Agreement in principle from current leaseholder is in place. Look to cover part of marketing, but this will be based on the caveat that express permission is granted from current leaseholder for exhibition. Subsequent conversation has clarified this is for the use of the viewing. Littlehampton Heritage Railway. Grant requested £1,000, grant proposed £800. This grant is to be used for essential track repairs. During the winter months, they have been replacing broken rotten sleepers along the straight between the skate park and parallel to the swimming pool. Works are still ongoing. This is a good project and again hard to quantify the benefit to Littlehampton residents. This will directly impact on tourism once restrictions lift. During a normal year, they can have 12,000 plus visitors. Littlehampton Rugby Club. Grant requested £600, grant proposed £480. This grant is to be utilised to restock training equipment, tackle bags, shields, coloured bibs, training balls and match balls, restock first aid, audio equipment for tournaments, and below is given the total cost. 80% of the members are based in Littlehampton, so support is 80% grant applied. Littlehampton United SC. Grant requested is £600, grant proposed is £420. This grant will be used to provide the club with equipment to sustain and increase participation in training, whilst also increasing the quality of the training sessions. This grant will also provide teams with equipment to support the coaches on match days. This equipment is invaluable to this club. There are a lot of local clubs and sports teams fighting for the local sponsorship, and even more so now in the current situation, which means not every club can benefit from new or better equipment to retain the membership participation they currently have. This will benefit 70% Littlehampton residents, proportioned accordingly. Men in sheds. Grant requested £350, grant proposed £200. Tools and materials to make commissioned items such as bird boxes. Group offers advice and skills to residents of Littlehampton. Good local group, limited detail and application and proportioned accordingly. Men walk and talk. Grant requested £1,000, grant proposed £750. This is to hold online Zoom meetings for men hosted by volunteers. This provides a virtual social hangout space to tackle isolation and mental health issues. They would also like to purchase and print some leaflets to post to the many residents in Littlehampton, and also optimise social media posts for the local residents to see. This represents 70% of Littlehampton, 75% of Littlehampton residents, allocation given based on that amount. My Sister's House. Grant requested £239, grant proposed £239. This grant will be used to enable marketing of the service. Below is a list of the marketing that we're looking to do. Will be carried out in areas that will best engage with people who may utilise this service. This is an important service for Littlehampton and has a wide reach in the community. Marketing strategies around COVID-19 restrictions supports 30 Littlehampton residents. Point Rocks. Grant requested £371, grant proposed £371. This grant will be used to replace equipment for dance school that helps children and adults in the community. Will assist in open sessions that are free for children in the local community. Full amount allocated to fulfill equipment requirement will directly benefit 120 residents. St Barnabas. Grant requested £684, grant proposed £684. This grant will be used to cover the cost of PPE and travel for staff to undertake palliative care for Littlehampton residents. This will specifically assist in operations covering Littlehampton. This project looks to support 101 Littlehampton residents. Sussex Steel. Grant requested £1,575, grant proposed £800. This grant is to be used to cover funds to support their instrument van, which was donated to them by Truck Tire 3 years ago. Until recently, Motor Rent paid for the insurance, but they are no longer able to help them with this. Additional spends are motor tax, green flag breakdown and fuel. They have used the van to transport instruments to gigs and events, and without it would have to limit their performances. Funding allocation based on need of other grants and ability to attend music events during this period. Sussex Tornado Cheerleaders. Grant requested £2,025, grant proposed £1,025. Cost of taking and entering athletes to a regional event. This is one of the largest events in the country, and winners are funded to compete in major event in USA. Cost is £205 per athlete, and they are asking for payment of 10 athletes. This event takes place early next year, and if successful, training towards this will commence when restrictions allow. Major event for the group and good representation for Littlehampton. Cost of half the athletes is suggested to be given. 80% of the members are Littlehampton based. The Dairy Arts Drop-In Group. Grant requested £150, grant proposed £150. The grant funding will pay for 2 demonstrations by professional artists for the group. This directly impacts on Littlehampton residents, so suggested full allocation given. The Littlehampton Society, grant requested £436. Grant proposed is £109. This grant will be used to hold quarterly executive committee meetings. At these meetings, local issues are discussed which are raised either by committee members or from members of the Society, and decisions are made on the relevant activity the Society should undertake to address these issues if they fit within the aims and objectives. The Society would like to hire the Fleming Room for 4 meetings throughout the year and hire the Millennium Chamber for the AGM. Hard to quantify numbers. Amount given covers the main AGM, which is important for strategic direction of the group. All other meetings will meet the community discounted rate in relation to hire of the Fleming Room. Treasure basket, grant requested £600, grant proposed £420. This grant is used to cover the cost of creative packages for children suffering from bereavement. This will include 5 top-up packages to offer continued support. This will directly impact on Littlehampton children and offers continued support through traumatic experiences. Project looking to support 10 children. West Sussex Mind, grant requested £952, grant proposed £500. This project will be led by West Sussex Mind Littlehampton Recovery Services. They will run weekly peer-led singing and music sessions. They are also looking to complete a sensory garden project to offer stimulation, promote physical activity and allow meditation, reflection and stress relief. Music and singing sessions will be run 1 or 2 times weekly. Below is a list of the musical equipment they're looking to buy and the topsoil and the stuff for their sensory garden. This project will directly impact on 50 to 60% Littlehampton residents, so proportioned accordingly. Total number of grants received this year was 30. Total amount requested was 33,348, and I'm proposing for the use of the total grant allocation, which is £21,000. Thank you.
A huge thank you, Michael. That was a really helpful presentation, and I think it's fair to say you've had quite a baptism of fire to arrive, but I think that was really helpful to us all to understand the applications. So I'm going to open it up, and I will just draw members' attention to the fact that as part of the agenda papers on at the back, so pages 58 and 59 is a copy of the criteria for the awards, so that when we consider each grant that we know the criteria are there. So I have Councillor Seeks has indicated.
So, Chair, before you open it up, sorry to be a pain, I just need to clarify where we are with regard to the Mayor's declaration of interest earlier. At the moment, all we've done is summarise the applications, the grant applications. So that's not a problem. But before you open it up, Councillor Chase did indicate his links with Littlehampton United Football Club, which is one of the applicants. And I'm thinking that if that is the case, you've probably got a personal and prejudicial interest and should step away from this item, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, no problem, Peter. Shall I come back in, what, 5 minutes?
I think Kieran will take you away. I think if you come out.
Yeah, we'll remove you, Councillor Chase, and we will add you again. So don't go anywhere, please.
Oh.
No.
Sorry, Chair.
That's fine. Thank you for picking
Chair,
that up.
can I propose that we deal with that item so that David Chase can come back in for the rest of the consideration?
I wouldn't recommend that, Chair, because obviously whatever happens with that grant influences the amount of money that's available for other grants. So that's why we tend to remove for the whole item.
I'm sorry, you broke up and I didn't catch that. So as long as everyone's happy, I will carry on. Is that okay?
Yeah, I can confirm Councillor Chase has left the meeting.
Perfect. I just missed the bit that was happening between the town clerk, what he just said.
So to clarify, Chair, Councillor Dr. Walsh suggested that Councillor Chase just be excluded as such for that particular application. But I said I wouldn't recommend that, because if it went up or down, influences the amount of money that would be given to other grants, which is why we tend to take it as a block.
Okay, so let's proceed, and then so Councillor Seeks is first.
Thank you. It was just on the Littlehampton Fort restoration project. They've said that they want to do a sort of physical exhibition in the upstairs of the Look and See Centre. I think we've just this week had planning go through for that to be converted into a hotel, so I'm not sure it's possible. But also, wouldn't it make more sense for the exhibition to be done in conjunction with the Littlehampton Museum, which we spend a lot of money on, and then do it maybe as a virtual exhibition if they want to mock up what it would look like? Or, you know, I'm not saying don't give them the money, I'm just saying I don't think a sort of physical exhibition in a different location necessarily seems the most logical.
Through you, Chair, if I may, Councillor Seeks is right. There was planning consent granted to create travel accommodation on the first and second floors of the Look and See Centre at the last Development Control Committee. That's gone through. When we clarified with the restoration group where they plan to hold it, they were going to look to use the viewing gallery.
Can I speak on this, please, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I apologise, I was muted. Yes, Councillor Dr. Walsh.
Yes, the viewing gallery is not affected by the planning application. Access to the viewing gallery is maintained, and therefore the exhibition could take place in the viewing gallery.
Thank you. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to say welcome to Michael, and you really did have a baptism of fire. You were really dropped in at the deep end, weren't you? I have two questions for you. I think you were saying something about that the money's paid. Is the money paid before they complete the paperwork or after?
You know, so I'll need the paperwork, and then that will confirm it, and then they will receive payment following that.
Okay, thank you. And my other question is there a formula that you use for determining how much you actually give them? Because in some cases you weren't giving them all the amount they were asking for. Do you have a formula, or is it, you know, is it sort of pulled out the hat for you?
It was nigh on impossible to get a definitive formula that fitted all the different ranges and grant applications that we came in. So some principles that I followed was proportion of Littlehampton residents that would directly benefit from that, proportion of their membership base that were Littlehampton residents, any risk in delivery of the proposal, and that would also be around if the grant was given a smaller allocation, that actually they wouldn't be able to deliver that project, and then part of it was based around need for that current group. So they're the broad principles that I follow.
Brilliant, thanks very much.
Thank you. So I think I've had the three that have asked to speak. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, in which case I would propose we don't take each one individually, and that instead, given that the officers have put a lot of time in, is the committee happy just to take it on block, that we agree, unless anyone wishes to propose any alterations to the figures?
Agreed.
I'm happy to agree.
Great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are, and then the other bit obviously is that there is a report attached that summarises the outcomes of last year's grants. So in agreeing that, we are noting those as well.
Agreed.
Agreed, thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
In which case, I think, do we need to let Councillor Chase back in?
Mm-hmm.
We'll just wait for him to rejoin us.
Just while you're doing that, can I just point out a typo, I guess, under the grant application for St Barnabas. St Barnabas is spelt incorrectly. It's not B-U-S at the end, it's B-A-S, Barnabas.
Apologies, Chair. Thank you. We'll do that.
I can confirm that Councillor Chase is back in the meeting.
Thank you very much, in which case we will then proceed. So we are on to item 7.4, which is the sports forum update on page 60 to 61, and the town clerk will introduce.
Thank you, Chair. Just to make sure everyone's fully aware of the Clampton Sports Forum, it's an arm's length group set up by the Town Council, but that self-administers. It has a representative from the Town Council upon it and is serviced by Town Council officers. But other than that, its role in life is to do many things, but one of them is to just bring together sports groups and let them share issues and flag them up with the Town Council and other bodies. Another one is to run through our officers the sports awards, and a third area is to do something that we can't do as a Town Council, which is make awards to individuals, which we provide the funding for youth excellence. So it's the latter two of those that this report particularly focuses on. The first is the sports awards, which the proposal is, given the state of many of the sporting seasons and the fact that holding a sports awards event would be very problematic, the proposal is to put it back, or to cancel. The second element is regarding the Sports Excellence Awards, and actually there was a thought that that should be put back, but after thought, in fact, it's quite likely that the people that would be the recipients would perhaps be in more need of it rather than less as we go forward. And the Sports Excellence Awards are not just for every young or middle-aged or old elderly sportsman in the town. They are for those who are trying to move on to the next level. They could be our future world champions, our future Lewis Hamiltons or Anthony Joshuas. So after some thought and discussion with the Sports Forum, they want to, how should we put this, go just to use that process and to just advertise it 1 month later. However, they don't want to host the awards night. So that's the crux of this report. I'm happy to answer any questions on it.
Thank you very much. I haven't got anyone indicating that they wish to speak. Councillor Turner.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to type the question in. Can I just ask who the representative is from the Town Council on the Sports Forum?
The chair of CRC is a standing representative on there. So at the moment it's Councillor Blanchard Cooper.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if there is no one else who wishes to speak, the two recommendations are as outlined on page 60 and as the town clerk has described. Is that general assent of the committee?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Perfect. Which brings us to item 7.5, which is the impact of COVID-19 report on pages 62 to 71. And again, I will hand back to the town clerk.
Yeah, the theme continues, Chair. But this one is very deliberate. What we are doing is to taking a series of reports through committees on the on how the lockdown, etc., has impacted the council services. So the first went to Property and Personnel on Monday night, and this is which looked principally at things such as manor house room hires. Looked at what staffing, how we're rolling out a new staffing regime to get the staff back to work, not back to work, back to the office, and things like that. This committee has a paper in front of it looking at services under its remit. On Monday night coming, the Policy and Finance Committee will also pick up a report covering the services that it covers and also bringing the whole lot together, particularly with regard to the financial impact. All of that will go to council later in the month. So I thought it was important that councillors who are probably aware of bits of this knew the whole picture across the board. So obviously things will change as we move on. Some of these are slightly scary in terms of if we have no room bookings in the Manor House or the Southfields for a very long period of time, that has a very significant impact. At the moment, it's not catastrophic because we haven't been able to run our events. But it depends where we go with this in the future and how. And so I'm not asking you to spend money, not asking you to save money at the moment. Either way, I'm asking you to be aware of the issues that are there, to note the work that we've done, but there are also some little things that I just need to get some approvals on. And one of those relates to us holding bookings at Southfields Jubilee Centre. At the moment, we've had standard bookings there for some time. And obviously we don't want to lose those hirers, but at some point in the future, people are going to come to us wanting to hire rooms. And we can't hold indefinitely those bookings because we're making no income at all. So what we've proposed here is the 1st of September, obviously it'll be reviewed if we haven't opened, because at the moment we're not allowed to open, but we are getting, just this week, we've had the first stirrings of interest, either people wanting to come back. So I'm imagining that probably under the right conditions, it wouldn't be the biggest issue for us, but there would be all sorts of risk assessments and conditions to it. So that's one factor, but we would also not want to discourage other groups from coming in because we don't know whether some of these groups will come back. And what we don't want to do is run for a very long period of time with no income, if we can avoid it. So that's one of them. The other factors are the floral contract for the roundabouts, etc. Nurseries are were particularly hard hit in this. Very nurseries have kept going, touch wood, and are about to do our roundabouts and so on. But they're doing it as best they can. Let's put it that way. I'm sure it'll be marvellous because it always has been every year that they've done it. What this report proposes is to extend their contract for a further year, just because this is not the time to be going out to the market, because that's not the way that nurseries are best placed at the moment. They're trying to hang on. That is the second one. And the other bit I just want to flag up to you is in the midst of all this, we did the youth service tender, and that went through. It was competitive, and the urgent action is attached to the report. I did it as an urgent action just so that members had the details before them. I mean, it's not strictly an urgent action, but it is one way of making sure that you've got the information. The Aaron Church did win and retain the contract, which does bring good continuity, and they have shown a very good sense of wanting to be adaptable into the future to meet our needs. So that's the sort of summary of the main themes. Obviously, any comments that you have will hopefully be picked up, and we will pull the whole lot together so that there is a comprehensive COVID report going to council at the end of the month.
Thank you very much. So I have Councillor Dr. Walsh to speak first.
Thanks very much, Chairman Freddie. Thank you for the report. Very reassuring, actually, given where we are in the pandemic. I just want to support particularly the extension of the floral contract with Herring Nurseries for a year. They've always provided excellent service. They were one of the first nurseries to open a takeaway service during the pandemic. And they've already carried out work for us, and they really have done very well. The other point is they actually only invoice us for work done. So I think that is an excellent basis on which to extend the contract for a year, and I would support that strongly. The rest of it I just welcome, and thanks very much for the officers continuing the liaison and keeping it going.
Thank you. Next up, I have Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Dr. Walsh there. Ferry nurseries have done an amazing job over the last few years. They make beautiful displays. I've seen them around the town the last few days working. So they're already started on doing this. So I think it's excellent that we've extended their contract. I think it's really good and I'm pleased about that. And I'm happy to go along with the decision about Southfields. I think 1st of September would be a good idea. We can review it when we get nearer to that time.
Thank you very much. I have no further speakers unless that changes very quickly. In which case, the recommendations are as outlined on page 62. Council, is the committee content to take those as general assent?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Lovely, thank you very much. And then we come to 7.6, oral update on the Keystone project, which is the assistant town clerk.
Thank you, Chair. And this is just to update members that we've got an extraordinary meeting of full council scheduled for next Thursday, when council will be given the opportunity to review and discuss the outcome of the feasibility study for the new centre and agree a design concept so that we can take the project forward to the next stage. So that's just to note, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't think there's anything to say to that, and no one has indicated to speak, which brings us to item 8 on the agenda, which is 8.1, the committee budget monitor. And if you could turn to page 72, again, the assistant town clerk is going to take us through this report.
Thank you, Chair. That's really just giving some more detailed financial information, which will help members and follows on really from the earlier COVID report. But just to confirm that at this stage of the year, the report that members have before them gives an update in terms of the budget monitor as it stands for the first quarter of the new financial year. And it also sets out the year-end position for the previous financial year 2019-20. These updates are for members to note, but happy to take any questions if members have any, Chair.
Thank you. I do not have any requests to speek.
It's just a note then, thank you.
So we will note those with thanks. And then item 9 is exempt business, of which there is none. And in that case, we will bring the meeting to a close at 7:35. So a huge thank you to all staff, as always, for their support throughout the meeting and to members for their contributions. Have a very good evening, everyone.
Can I thank you, Chairman, for being the most